It is Friday, August the 15th, 2008. This is the One Up Yours podcast on the One Up Radio Network. I am not Garnet Lee. I am Andrew Pfister, producer of the show. Garnet is in London, and has anyone checked his Twitter status lately?
He just ate dinner at one of the best meals he's ever had in his entire life.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That's what
I pointed him at a few things, and he seems to have done all of them, which is great.
I'm impressed.
When he gets to the end of my list, he's in for a big surprise.
I'm impressed because it is hard to find good food in London.
I heard Indian is awesome.
Yeah, Indian food is excellent there.
Yeah, I sent him to this the oldest bar in London, and he was pretty enamored with that, which is maybe why we were getting emails from him at 1 o'clock in the morning.
He was probably enamored and inebriated after that.
So this is Shane Bettenhausen, John Davison, and Nick Sutner in the fourth chair today with us.
Fuck Nick Sutner.
Fuck Nick Sutner. Oh,
That's usually how One Up Yours goes.
Why you,
so.
No.
You tried to turn this into the Kids Table Part 2? Is that what you're here for?
Well,
Nick
we
Sutner?
almost had Philip here, too, so it would have been a One Up FM
very
invasion.
sad he can't be here.
I'm sure he is.
Why isn't Philip? I haven't seen Philip for weeks.
There was a lot of news today.
Yeah, NPDs, lots of news. We have two segments for you today. First is what you've been playing. Second one is the news featuring NPDs and a bunch of EA news breaking today. And that's about it. Let's get it started with what you've been playing. I pick John. Go.
Oh, well, I just got back from EA's summer.
I thought it was a fall showcase.
I don't know what it is. They have this thing every year where they have a huge gym at EA and they fill it up with games. But as a post E3 EA showcase, it was a lot of stuff that they didn't show at E3 or didn't show in a lot of detail. So they started off, they showed the new NHL stuff where you can play as an individual on a team, and they announced the EA Hockey League.
I would have liked to have been there for that.
You have an individual online career mode in a game, and it's full. You could have the team can be up to 50 people, and then you kind of switch in on a real roster.
It just tracks
it's like
your character.
Your character.
Yeah.
Plus, it has there are management things in it where you can be traded to other teams, or you can instigate trades as a character. So it's taking the whole. They did it in FIFA last year. And they're starting to do it in some of the others, but NHL, they're kind of pushing it a little further.
It's like a MMO guild, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. So they showed that, and then they showed a bunch of... So this was the weird thing about EA's event today, in that they clearly wanted to say, here's all the stuff that we're doing to push the boundaries on, attracting a large audience, and, I think maybe regretting calling the group the casual group, because it's so much more than that. And they showed a bunch of sim stuff and casual entertainment group stuff that they didn't show at E3. And then halfway through, they were like, "Oh, now we're going to show you how all the stuff where you kill stuff." Because, that's what we all love, right? And it's like, well, you just spent like half an hour saying this is how we're going to get like thousands and thousands more people into video games, and now it's like, oh, Godfather 2 and Burnout, and this is what video games are really about. But
did they purposefully avoid using the word casual?
No, but they were trying to. I think they were just trying to broaden it, because the casual entertainment group is very quickly becoming like the big group there in terms of the amount of product that they're putting out. So you got everything from the new Harry Potter game, which is leading on Wii,
and that's considered casual.
That's now casual entertainment, which is sort of indicative of their new attitude, in that the casual group is really the not hardcore group. Would probably be a better name for it, because it's not really into sports, and
softcore.
It's the softcore Cinemax group of EA, but they have everything from Harry Potter to the I can't remember the name of it now. Henry Hatsworth, which is its current name. It may change.
And we've heard that that's the secret best DS game ever. Like 6 months ago, we heard that EA has this top secret DS game.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's by some guys down at Tiburon. It was sort of a Skunkworks project, and they actually did it as when they first showed it as a GDC. I don't know if you went to the session. They showed it as a flash demo of just, here's an idea of mixing two genres together. It's still alpha. It's not coming out till next year. So there's a lot of stuff that they haven't done, but it's essentially a Planet Puzzle League type mechanic. So it's sliding blocks horizontally to make lines of 3 or more at the bottom, and a very kind of cartoony looking side scroller at the top. And as you're working your way through the quest as Henry Hatsworth, who's this sort of English explorer who's fighting against bad guys, and when you kill bad guys, it drops their sort of essence down into the puzzle. So when you they become like the gems in a puzzle.
So are you multitasking, or are you moving?
No, so all the time the puzzle is working its way up the screen at the bottom. And if it's just blocks, then there's nothing you don't have to maintain it. But if there are blocks that have bad things in them, so like certain bad guys, their essence will go into the puzzle, and if the puzzle makes its way back up to the top, then the essence is released back into the top screen, and you have to battle with things, and it affects things. Yeah. But also, the bosses can create things that then become part of the puzzle game. So they showed this one boss that was dropping these things into the puzzle game, and if one of his pieces got to the top, then it would restore all of his health, or it would make a special attack.
But you don't have any direct control over Henry Hatsworth, right? You're just affecting what's happening.
No. You are playing a platform game which has both melee and range attacks in it, and you're whacking stuff and collecting the gems.
So wait, are you playing the puzzle or are you doing that? Or are you doing
switching?
both?
But you're switching between the two.
You are kind of multi. I mean,
I was originally wondering, well, am I going to have to be trying to maintain both? And no, you sort of you do one or the other. But to complete the quests, it is a full-on sort of puzzle-based 2D platform game at the top. So you're killing things and collecting things, and as you're doing things in the puzzle game, it's powering up your character and changing his abilities and giving him different weapons.
So while you're doing the puzzle stuff on the bottom screen, what's happening on the top screen?
It freezes the top screen.
Oh, okay. So he's not like running and jumping on his own.
But there are also power-ups, so it sort of pauses the top screen, but there are things you can do in the puzzle mode that will freeze the timer. So you have a limited amount of time when you're switching into the puzzle mode. So as long as you're creating lines of 3 or more, it keeps the time. Because I have this like tube full of liquid right now, and it's kind of counting down. And when you run out, you have to go back into the game. But if you're really good at the puzzle game, you can stay in the puzzle game indefinitely. And also, they were saying that they might make it so that a sort of special hardcore approach is that if you can beat the game without ever doing the puzzles.
Oh.
Because there'll be things like there'll be blocks to get over a part of the environment where you have to. It'll say, okay, you need to do a bunch of red blocks in the puzzle, and when you do a line of 3 red blocks, the platforms appear in the environment. But there are ways to navigate around them just using platform mechanics as well.
It sounds like it does. I mean, it must do both these things pretty well. Then it sounds like it works well because it's two different. It's
and the fact
puzzle
that
quests are 2 different genres where it's like it just works together.
Yeah, and it's really easy to understand. So for sort of the casual gamer, there's a lot of it that you probably wouldn't even notice. But as a hardcore player, there's so many sort of exploits that you can do with the puzzle mode that you could really get into one side of it or the other. And so I mean, like all the buzz that was going on about how secretly this is awesome. And there's also what I didn't expect was when Henry Hatsworth drinks a cup of tea because he's English,
of course,
he turns into a robot.
Well, you did that.
Do you think it could be ported to iPhone, or is it only going to work on DS?
I'm not sure how they do it on it. It is a uniquely DS product.
So was that in the casual or the hardcore presentation?
It's being done out of the casual group. So I mean, that gives you an idea of just sort of the depth of stuff. So you've got that, and then they have Boogie Superstar, which is like the sort of ultimate 10-year-old girls game, and then they've got Harry Potter, and so there's all these different, very, very different types of games. And then there's still the stuff that they're doing through Pogo. They did that new version of Operation on Pogo, and then I tried the For Dummies games, which were a lot better than I was expecting.
Are they games, or are they?
Well, yeah, it's the full-on game, but it teaches you. So the one I played the Sudoku one, and it introduces you on how to play Sudoku, and it kind of eases you in really, really gently, and you can kind of skip ahead in the lesson. So you can play it just as a Sudoku game, or it's a sort of very, very step-by-step instructions on how to do it.
Is that for DS?
Yeah.
What else is in that franchise?
That pack has Sudoku, Solitaire, and
Programming C.
and one I can't remember what the other one is. And then they have a poker one that's online right now. But the travel games for dummies is I saw Sudoku, and the Solitaire one I still don't really get, because it's counting.
Yeah.
Solitaire that hard, really?
I can count to
really?
10.
Are they just kind of games with better tutorials than usual?
They're very, very good tutorials. But the other thing is, it also has there are things you can turn on and off that will levels of assist that they'll do within it. So I mean, it's
I can see that being big. That's a really valuable brand.
right
You know?
to someone that's not a gamer but has a DS because they have Nintendogs or sort of one other thing.
Right.
That for Dummies brand is like really and it looks exact. I mean, it's the yellow and black branding and
the DS. The shelves when you go are so full of games. Those will stand out. And EA,
because
EA's
it's
a big
recognizable
name.
brands. Yeah.
I can see that.
And I think we're going to see it sounds like we're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff from EA, like these partnerships that they're starting to roll out sort of really consistently of things that you recognize from elsewhere, and a lot. I mean, there was a lot of DS and Wii stuff there, and they had some iPhone stuff there as well, and then they showed Battlefield Heroes.
Oh yeah.
Which I think looks fantastic. I mean, and they're modeling it in a very social networky kind of way. Mm-hmm. So as well as the game, there's friends lists, groups, clubs. It has the wall-to-wall.
And you have to go to the
function.
website to launch the game, right? Isn't that how it works?
So you have to be a part of the social network and have your own little network because they're saying, it's a casual shooter that's going to appeal to everybody. And I think when you first see it, I think your first inclination is going to be, this is going to be full of dicks like in 5 minutes, and it's going to be a huge turn-off to anyone that's not a hardcore shooter fan. But I think the way that they're going to get around that is by making it much more of a social network, and it's sort of way beyond clans even. It's like you can control who you play with to such a degree that I think you'll be able to shield yourselves from the people that that are way outside your ability that are just going to deride you for being lame.
Sounds like a reverse filter for.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways to express. So they've taken a lot of ideas from Facebook and thought about how can you apply that to an avatar in a game. So there's lots of different outfits and lots of different ways of expressing yourself, and they were showing all these little gestures you can do. So it's taking things like out of World of Warcraft and some stuff out of Facebook. And
I think it's a pretty new genre. I mean, casual free shooter. That's
casual free, like fairly large number of players online shooter. I mean, it's like
kind of new.
But that looked really good.
Is it out now? No.
No,
It got pushed back a bit, right?
They're going into the next phase of their beta any day now. So it's been it's had 10,000 people on a
Is it coming out on Mac yet?
No, see, that was the other thing I wanted to know is if this was on Mac, I would have it open nearly all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be because there's a lot of just sort of hanging around, and they show this one level where there was a bunch of people fighting in this small village, and because it has that kind of cartoony look to it, I mean, it was running an amazing frame rate, and it looked gorgeous, and I mean, it's it's a small download, I think, that you do, and then everything. You just go to the website, and everything launches from there.
All right.
But they're saying their goal is to make it the biggest online shooter in the world.
If they put it on Mac, I will play it because I haven't played a PC game more than 10 minutes in a decade since I used to be really into PC games, and that's one that I would try, but I don't want to put on Boot Camp just for that. Because I put it on in the past and not ended up playing anything and just uninstalled
also,
it.
if you're running it I run Fusion.
Or is it Parallels?
Which is a Parallels type thing, and it's just not fast enough.
Right.
And they also, you'll like this, they had playable celebrity sport. What's it called?
Celebrity Sports Challenge.
The first the first EA freestyle game.
Which, I want to bring this up because they got announced a few days ago. And they got leaked in Europe. Where it was who are these celebrities going to be? What big names? Brangelina, who's going to be on this thing? No, it's a rogues gallery.
Avril Lavigne, Fergie.
Does she wet her pants in one of the events? Is there a meth smoking event? Come on, Nelly Furtado,
Keith Urban.
Yeah. Who's Nicole Kidman must be rolling over in her DS grave. I don't so those are the four singers, and then there's Christy Yamaguchi, Sugar Ray Leonard, two other athletes.
Yeah.
There's a football player. Anyway,
so this is C-list celebrities.
It's a bizarre
Z-list celebrities.
It's an odd list of there's no one aspirational in this list. There's no who I wish I could be on horseback.
No one you even really want to have dinner with.
And
just kind of want to.
Well, and then it doesn't look like a Wii Sports ripoff. Instead, it looks like a Sonic and Mario at the Olympics ripoff.
It is. I saw. I didn't get to play it, but I got to stand next to somebody that was.
Fergie and Keith Urban at the Olympics.
Basically.
Well, there was. It looked like Fergie, and it may have been Keith Urban. It was some white dude playing the sort of gladiator-style jousting. And then I saw a horse racing thing and there was a kayaking game. I mean, it's all gestural and
there are like 12 events. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think these celebrities are a bad idea.
Well, it's kind of like
people watch Dancing with the Stars.
It's like the Facebreaker celebrities. It's like we just found people that would sell us their name.
Also, I don't think these celebrities are going to travel very well outside of North America. I mean, like here, people may know who half of these are.
There's a bunch of them. Like I tell my wife about this, and I rattled off some of the names. She's like, "Nope, never heard of any of them."
Did they have really? Did they have at least one to put on the cover? Like,
I don't know. Oh, who gets to be the? Who gets to? Do they? Maybe they get to Celebrity Deathmatch to be on the cover. Maybe that's going to be an event they're going to have.
Maybe they're holding back all the real celebrities for like something they're revealing in a month.
It's 12. It's like 12 people and 12 events. I think. I mean, it's just very kind of. It's very small scale as a first EA freestyle thing.
Yeah.
Because the Facebreaker isn't a freestyle game, right?
No.
It's an EA Sports.
Although Facebreaker KO Party for Wii it comes out later. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to think what else they showed. I mean, there was some sports stuff. There was they showed Warhammer, which I think they talked about on GFW.
Yeah, I think so.
And then a lot of stuff out of the Sims group. So they showed Sims on Stage, which is now apparently the world's largest karaoke and poetry site on the website.
When they showed that to me at last,
is there competition?
A lot of poetry on Stage.
When they showed me Sims on Stage at the last EA thing I went to 6 months ago, it wasn't even a game. It's like a website where you can upload a video of you doing karaoke, which it's not a game.
Yeah, it's what it is.
And it's like it's nothing.
Like an actual video of your actual self doing karaoke.
The way they demoed it. So Jeff Brown, who's like the head of communications at EA. Before the event started, they had the on stage on, and it was a woman singing. Well, it was actually a teenage girl singing "Memories." You know, the Barbra Streisand song.
Mm-hmm. I know.
You're familiar with it?
I'm familiar with that song.
And about 30 seconds in, he came on stage. He goes, "All right, that's enough. That's about as much as any of us can handle, I think."
You weren't the one where they dwelled on this for 10 minutes. And
I was there.
The other thing you could do is you could take clips of Sims singing things and like edit them together. And I was like, "That's not a game either. This isn't a game. I hate you."
Well, that's why it can be
poetry slam. Sounds awesome.
That's why it can be number one.
But that's kind of what it is. It's karaoke and poetry. Slam YouTube, but apparently it's huge. And then they also
it's free.
Yeah, and then the other thing they showed was Sims Carnival, which is the game creating thing.
Oh yeah,
which they now say has more games on it than all console games ever made combined,
and they're all better too.
But it's been so. I mean, I talked about the other week about how that Ben 10 game creator has
the
like
adult swim stuff.
there's like a million a month that are being uploaded. I think they're seeing a similar level. But the cool thing about Carnival that they showed is that now they've been adding to it constantly, and they're doing like a huge overhaul. But what they have now is instead of it just being here's a bunch of tools there where you can, go make a game. Here's a bunch of templates for different types of games. So there's even a desktop tower defense template. So the basic logic is already there, and then you just have a bunch of things that you can drop onto the level
what
to
kind
affect
of stuff?
it. So you can it'll say, okay, here the basic rule set for desktop tower defense is in this frame, and there are different objects and things that you can put in the environment. You can affect the graphics, you can affect the kind of critters that come out and the behavior that they do, and then different types of weapons. So there's like lots of different variations on a theme, and you're creating your own thing.
Did you play Blastworks? Because it sounds a bit like
it's a little bit like that, yeah. But then the cool thing is, because it's all in Flash, once you've created it and saved it to your profile, it gives you the embed code, and you can stick it on, so it works like a YouTube video. So I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff at EA now, where they're thinking like bringing web-based stuff and DS stuff and phone stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of iPhone stuff from them by the sounds of it. And there's, Spore on normal mobile phones is already out, and the iPhone version's coming in a few weeks. And
just sounds like they're getting their hands in everything possible.
Yeah, and getting like really, really broad. But then they had this sort of home, and it was like, wow, you're getting very kind of progressive, and they're very conscious about getting girls into it, but without sort of being demeaning the way the games industry has been for so long. It's like we spent a lot of time with 10 and 12-year-old girls and how they wanted to express themselves in a game. And
they all want to be fashion designers, or
well, no, I mean, like Boogie Superstar is all about you do the outfits, and then there's the dance moves, and there's the singing, and there's and it seems a lot more thought out than the first Boogie was. So they went through all that, and then it was like, oh, now we're going to show you the running people over and killing people, and his godfather, and here's
one question still in the casual. Did they show My Sims Kingdom?
Yes, they did.
Because that, like, I reviewed the first one, and it wasn't bad. It was just like Animal Crossing, only kind of lamer, like less personality. But seeing as Animal Crossing seems to be going nowhere now, I am like mildly interested.
Are you inferring that Animal Crossing is lame?
Yes.
Now, Nick, I sat through a very long My Sims Kingdom demo a while ago, and I mean, maybe if I was a little kid, I'd be excited about it, but...
Well, it's My Sims with quests. Okay. So
but it's basically, it's all fetch quests. Like, it's a magical world of fetch quests.
So instead of here, just build your environment and paint the walls and decorate the room, you're decorating the room with a specific goal in mind, or you're piecing bits of machinery together. There's a little bit of... Ooh, what Little Big Planet's doing is interesting, because there's a lot of like, okay, you have to piece the machine.
Still sounds like the first one.
Yeah, you have to piece the machine together to make the thing work to open the door.
There is less customization in the first game. The focus is on character and story, and the beloved characters you met in the first game, having fleshed out stories in this game and getting to know this world and characters, which is like not what anybody wants. I
played a lot of the first game, and I don't remember any of the characters.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, I was like, maybe the kids you focus group said, I want to know more about these characters. Like, I want to know less about the characters in My Sims. So
all right, well, never mind that.
Yeah. They're bringing that to PC too, which is also kind of strange.
Yeah, it's PC, Wii, and DS. I think. So I mean, it's very cute,
but it was successful.
Yeah.
So it was sort of all of the stuff they didn't emphasize at E3, but I mean, it was interesting, and they're clearly trying very hard to do something.
So what was the hardcore stuff?
Yeah, what was the murder, death, kill stuff?
Godfather 2, which they didn't show very much of.
Did they show like the strategy elements to it?
Well, they talked about it a little bit. And they showed the new Warhammer, and then I think they were really torn on where to position the Battlefield game, because it's like it's a really casual shooter that really hardcore gamers are going to get into, and it's like I think it'll be interesting to see how that one.
Yeah, if they say that they want to make it like the most popular shooting game ever, then they're going to have both like sides of it.
And you're going to have to be able to control it so that you know if you don't want to be exposed to the people that take it really seriously.
That's the kind of thing you have to show different parts to different people. That's the kind of instance where I could imagine them during their casual lineup showing the social networking stuff and then later showing the more like nuts and bolts gameplay, why it's fun as a shooter. So, I mean, you're right. They have to show both parts of it and why they're appealing to both demographics.
And then they talked a little bit about a lot of this stuff is stuff that we could talk about in news as well, but they talked a little bit about the Burnout PlayStation network.
Yeah, we got a bunch of that stuff.
And then these new partnerships.
Yeah, and the new partnerships which they rolled out at the end, and there were people from each of them on stage, basically saying it's going to be awesome, but we can't tell you what it is.
But in terms of like
tight
of big serious games coming out this fall, they didn't like Need for Speed there. No,
it was no. Well, they showed a live action trailer for Need for Speed Undercover.
Maggie Q, hottie.
I assume that was her. I'm not entirely sure who Maggie Q is because I'm apparently too old or something.
I don't know who she is either.
Okay,
she's a hot actress.
Okay, but it was. I don't know if you remember the Need for Speed Underground.
It's all kind of a blur.
Or Carbon.
It's all kind of a blur.
Where it was a mix. It was sort of like live action with a. I mean, what they showed was live action with CG car stuff.
And stylized filters.
With like a brown filter over it.
Yeah.
And it was all very sort of high octane and lots of close-ups of rev counters with the needle going up and like, exhaust with flames coming out of it and hot chicks wearing tiny skirts and bending over a lot. And
that sizzle video gave you a feeling of what the game will be like.
Absolutely, yes. Because, there was a guy with a briefcase and,
Is that supposed to be like the transporter? That sounds...
It sounds much... I mean, they're showing a little bit of it this week, but they're keeping tight wraps on it, but it sounds like it's very narrative-based this time.
Am I the only one who's amazed that Need for Speed continues to be relevant and popular year after year?
8 million units every time.
Stunning.
I think the least it's sold recently is 8 million units.
Like it's the
second biggest franchise EA has.
Like I'll pick them up and play them a little bit, but I'm never that excited. But I'm never disappointed. I never think they suck, but I'm just like, oh, it's another Need for Speed.
Because almost everyone like plays racing games like at some point, and there aren't many racing franchises. Like Burnout's the only racing franchise I play, but that's kind of it. It's either like
Ridge Racer is kind of faded,
kind of Ridge Racer or Gran Turismo, and that's like a whole different thing. So,
but I can remember talking to them about this when they were doing Pro Street, and it was now the strategy on Need for Speed is every other one is going to be a bit more sim-like, but not going all the way into Forza and GT, but like a bit more serious racing. And then the ones in between are going to be more like Underground and Carbon,
Street
where they're
stuff,
more
yeah.
street racing and they're more character-driven and story. But this one looks like there is a... Underground pretended to have a story.
Yeah, it
there was that
didn't
whole
really have
thing
much.
about someone had left a briefcase full of money.
And Brooke Burke is here for some reason.
I don't know. And then Delroy Lindo turns up.
That was the story of like solve the mystery of why Brooke Burke was here.
I don't know. They're going up against Midnight Club, and that's been in development for a long time. And you have to wonder if that's just more of a game than this, because these annualized Need for Speeds.
I haven't seen much of that yet. Have you guys seen it?
I saw the trailer for Midnight Club. I thought it looked really good.
I've played it a couple times.
I've played it. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I think that was it on the EA stuff.
Anything non-EA you've been playing?
I got a new copy of Too Human, and I haven't put it in yet, but I got a copy of the new Viva Pinata yesterday. So next week I'll be able to.
You'll be scanning your cards in.
I thought that I would like have. I mean, I adored the first Viva Pinata. I've put like 150 hours into it, and I thought I would not care because there wasn't enough new stuff. Even when I went and saw it at Rare a couple months ago, and since then. But then recently, Anthony's been reviewing it just across from my cube.
He's
and
been
I've been watching it all day.
He's been scanning in cards. I saw it.
Yeah, he's been scanning cards, and it's just like watching him. It's like, all right, I gotta buy this. I gotta buy this day one.
Well, it's only 39. It's only 39, which is smart.
I'm very much looking forward to it now. Even the little interface tweaks, like being able to like cycle through your pinatas on the like little bumper buttons, like all that stuff.
That makes such a huge difference because it got to the point hunting around for the. That's the wrong one.
There's no weird like loading hang up or saving hang up every like 5 seconds. Just little things that make the difference. It's very nice.
Nick, what have you been playing?
I have a list.
You have a long list. Did you remember that other one you were trying to remember?
Sixth game that I imagine if I don't remember it, it's not worth talking about. We can talk about Mercenaries 2 with me a little bit, right?
A little bit. I've played about 2 missions.
Yeah. I'm really having fun with it. There's been like a lot of like kind of lukewarmness towards it recently.
It's been so long coming.
It's been so long.
It has.
Yeah.
The first one was so awesome.
It was, yeah. The first one was one of my favorite games last gen. And this one also still like looked better when I saw it behind closed doors 2 years ago at E3.
Well, the weird thing I found is it looks really good when it zooms out, but it doesn't look as good when you're in close, which is weird.
Yeah, it's kind of inconsistent. But like it also looked a lot different, and I had kind of like that waxy next gen thing that was just like weirdly impressive. But now it's good looking overall, and but I honestly don't really care how it looks because it's really fun. And the stuff that does look good is like explosions that are important in the game.
When we still had the official PlayStation magazine, I can remember Terry went to see it really, really early on, and the whole, they always like in a lot of games now they're like, what's the theme of the theme in this game was fire.
Yeah, and it's not that anymore because I also remember seeing it a couple of years ago, and they had a whole thing where you could like drizzle a trail of gas.
Yeah, there was going to be you're going to be able to set fire to things, and fire was going to like catch in a realistic fashion.
Everything had like a burnability index.
And when I've asked about that recently, they're like, "What are you talking about?"
They sold that technology to Alone in the Dark.
Shit blows up. What do you want?
But it does have impressive levels of destructibility. A lot of games they say you can blow things up, and at E3 I was like, people are really blowing shit up.
Level anything. Yeah. You can level it just like
beyond Battlefield Bad Company blowing stuff up.
Well, it's a bit different because in Battlefield it's like a much smaller scale. It's like, here's a wall, I'm going to blow up a piece of it so I can get a good shot at this guy.
But
in Mercenaries, it's kind of like
buildings would
that's what it is. Yeah,
completely flattened.
It's like instead of like blowing a hole in the wall to go into this building at a guy, I'm just going to bring the whole building down on top of him.
Can you still jack a helicopter like while it's flying? Like you could
now have like a grapple that you can, which I actually just like unlocked today, but I haven't used it yet because there's different. Probably shouldn't talk about this too much, but there's different people you go to unlock different skills, and one is you talk to like this girl who once you like run missions for her, then she gives you like the ability to do something like that. And from the ground you can grapple and zip like straight up to the helicopter to steal it. And when you
I'm sold.
I know. And when you like jack a tank now, there's a little like QTE game, which I thought was kind of lame that you would have to do it every time, but it is different depending on the kind of tank. So there is some skill in actually doing it.
Are you still playing off different factions against each other?
Yeah, all that same thing.
That's still the same thing?
Yeah, it's a little... I was like running missions for a faction, and then I pissed them off, and then the only way to like that I could see to get them back in my good graces to be able to do missions for them was to like pay a lot of money to bribe them, and that's okay because you have a lot of money in the game, but I'm still kind of getting the handle on that.
I'm sure that's how it works in real life.
Yeah.
Should the president
in rural
should
Venezuela.
the president of Venezuela be offended by that game from what you played? Does it paint Venezuelans in a negative light?
No, I mean It's not like I think this is actually what's going on right now in Venezuela.
Do you feel as if you're being trained for a future invasion of Venezuela? That's what he said the game was. It
You
was
don't
like
think that
training
large,
Americans.
blonde, Northern European tattooed men are going around like Batman blowing shit up?
Yeah, all the cutscenes are just no good at all. It's like they're poorly written and the motion
It's the
capture
same
is terrible
characters
and
as
all
the
that.
first game, right?
Yeah, or the Swedish guy, and then there's like the Black American guy and like the girl who's French maybe.
So
But
you don't
anyway,
come for the
so-
story? No.
No. So why the game is fun is it's like super like fun dynamic stuff going on all the time, just things you're not expecting. Like yesterday I was driving toward I had to steal a little Jeep that was parked somewhere, and I was driving towards at full speed, and there's a guy standing next to it with a gun, and he like turns to look at me. I bail out of my car goes flying, takes him out, knocks over a whole little grove of trees behind him, and then like I just run over to the Jeep, and there's all these guys on the outside firing towards me, and I drive off. And then like an hour later I have to go get this target that's over a hill, but I don't know if he's in a building or what. So I just go flying over the hill with a van full of like 4 guys. It turns out it's like an open air base. I land right in the center of it, flying over the wall, hop out. All 4 of my guys hop out, and it's like giant chaos. It's just really fun.
So there's more stuff, because in the first one you were pretty much a lone soldier. Even on the like crazy missions, like the one where you had to take out the entire missile base single-handedly. Do you remember that one? It was like so difficult, but it was always just you.
You can recruit guys to come with you. They die pretty quickly, and they're kind of stupid. But you can just like pull up next to a faction you're allied with and honk, and they'll hop in your car and come with you.
Maybe the first one did do that. That sounds
I think
familiar.
it did, but it's not
really a-
it's not. It doesn't have that much of an impact on gameplay.
When's it out? Is it like any day?
End of September.
Couple weeks. No, end of August.
End of
It's like
August.
August
Really?
30th.
Yeah.
That kind of
It's soon.
crept up on us out of nowhere. Everyone
Well,
kind of like
That's the weird thing is it's
it
been
was-
hyped for so
It was
long.
supposed to be out like a year ago. Yeah.
And now it's coming out kind of quietly, but it is like so far what I played, it's really fun.
It's funny.
And I thought I'd be like meh, but I'm like instantly really engaged with it.
The last time I saw a
I'll put
demo,
more.
the Pandemic guys, all they would want to do was load a Jeep full of plastic explosives, get in it, start driving towards something, and jump out and like run and explode it on people. So that's the most fun thing to do.
Are you playing it on 360 or PS3?
Right now I'm playing on 360. We got both. I will play the PS3 one,
Okay.
but I know there's a big fuss over because a lot of people for a while people thought the PS3 one didn't even exist. Apparently,
Oh,
Did we get the PS2 version?
no, we didn't. Which I've heard looks great.
I
though.
was shocked that they were still doing. I mean, I was shocked from a technology standpoint. I mean, it makes a lot of
Right.
sense because the first one worked really well on PS2, and there's a bazillion of PS2s
I guess it's like
out
the
there.
same
but-
engine too.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah?
it's
Just-
pretty smart. I mean, it's going to sell.
Yeah, on PS2, it's sold
Yeah.
tons.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I'm quite excited. What else do I have? Ratchet: Quest for Booty, which I started and finished in one sitting.
Whoa.
And I can talk about it because
How long was the
review
sitting?
will be up tomorrow when the
Great.
show is up. So
How long was the sitting? Because you can sit for a while.
yeah, it was an evening that I kept on. I like got up and made food, and I kept on getting up. But I think it was about 2.5 hours.
That's short.
And they've said like 4 hours, and I always kind
2.5 hours?
Yeah,
You're really good at Ratchet.
I've played through all the Ratchet console games.
Okay.
Well, played most of 3 of them. So like I am a Ratchet fan, and that's the weird thing with this game is it's almost.
But you're who it's for.
Yeah.
See, it almost works as a better introduction, like a taste of Ratchet for people who don't play the series, because it's really well paced. It's got like tons of different Ratchet elements in it.
So it's almost like a
And
demo.
A really long
It
demo.
feels like if I played this and done no Ratchet, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go buy Future now, guaranteed. But for people who have played the series and are good at it, they're gonna get through it quickly, and it's just very much a tease because there's no like Ratchet and Clank Future. Not that I care about the story that much ultimately, but Ratchet and Clank Future left off in a cliffhanger where you don't know what happens to Clank, and there's this race of Zony robots that have taken him, and you're like,
Spoilers.
what the hell?
Ah,
Yes,
at the end of this,
retrospective
does
spoilers.
this tease the next real game at the end?
Yes,
I heard
it
it
does.
did.
But so in this though, this ends on the same cliffhanger as that. There's no. It's like a side story that kind of touches on that, but still Clank is gone at the end. You're like, what the hell? So there's.
also, it's a concurrent story.
It's kind of like an epilogue to Future, but it doesn't really end any. There's no furthering of what's going on. And yeah, but it ends though. It says after the credits, it says the quest continues fall 2009. So seeing as Insomniac makes the game every year,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that means a PS3 one next year. I would guess.
Yeah, my other
Like
question
a proper
is
one.
how much of it is repurposed assets from Future?
No, that's the thing. Is it's new enemies. It's new, I guess,
New backgrounds, new everything.
Oh, new levels.
Really?
It's-
Okay.
that's the thing. Is it doesn't feel like future B-sides. This isn't like it doesn't. Even if it is, it doesn't feel like cut levels. This is like same quality. It's just kind of more of a good thing. It's got it's paced really really well. The first level is like this chaotic. You have you have like 6 of the weapons, and they're pretty far upgraded, but you can upgrade them within this, even though it's only a couple hours.
There's one new weapon, right?
There's not a new gun.
Oh.
I don't believe your wrench now has a bunch of different tools. So when you finish the first level, it drops you into this island, and you only have your wrench. And that level's like very platforming heavy, like more so than almost anything I can think of in future. But then throughout the rest of it, you kind of get your weapons back. It's I mean, the story they do have in there is fun, and it's got great dialogue and everything.
Does it acknowledge whether you've played Future? I mean, like if
No.
you have a Future save game on, does it do anything?
No,
or...
I don't even think I didn't start a new game, but I don't even think it does like the new game plus that Future does. I'll have to confirm that, but no, it does. It's a very standalone thing, and you would be a little like, you'd be like, who are these characters if you just came in not having played it, but still, the gameplay is like Ratchet. It's awesome. It's like perfect.
Oh,
if you play in lock strafe mode, anyone who does not play in lock strafe
That's
mode
the way to
is
play.
a chump. So yeah, it's still really good. It's just it is short. There's kind of no getting around that, and that's more frustrating if you are a Ratchet fan and just want more of it. So. N Plus on DS and PSP I've been playing, which Shane hates all versions of.
What's different about the DS and PSP versions?
New levels. The actual, because on the 360, as we know, that they cut the level sharing right before it like went live. Was Microsoft's decision, but now there's like no restriction on that. I haven't messed around with the level sharing on PSP one
so you
yet.
can edit your own
but
levels.
On the DS one, yeah, you can make your own levels, which works really well with the touchscreen, and you can just hop online and browse existing ones, like
That's
page
cool.
through them. It's great. There's like you can like rate them. The whole system is like beautiful. It's like the best level sharing thing I've seen. The actual game, though, on both, the biggest problem is that the view, because on the 360 one, there's three different like viewpoints. Like you can zoom back into the whole level, the mid one, which you use most of the time, and zoom in for like closer stuff. The PSP one is locked to one viewpoint, which is kind of between the middle and large one. It's kind of weird. And the DS one, the top screen is the whole level, so it's kind of too far out to like play in, and the bottom screen is like too close. So both of them kind of have like a very basic camera issue, it seems, like the placement. I'm not sure why they don't have multiple levels of zoom, unless I totally missed it, which I don't think I did because I tried it for a while. It's still really fun. The physics are a little bit different than the 361, which takes some getting used to. But they also dropped the price to $20, and like it is, I'd still say it's like if you haven't played it, it's like a must buy on either portable. So. And plus, Little Big Planets. I know you guys
I'm
talk about
curious
it a lot recently.
How's your level going, Shane?
Well, I've been out of town.
I heard
right.
that you were cruising through levels, like just dumping shit everywhere, and David Ellis was cleaning up behind you.
David Ellis, he doesn't like creativity. He doesn't like,
He's more methodical
he
than
wants
you.
everything to have for a reason for it to be in that level.
Well, it's
and-
good. You kind of have a left brain, right brain kind of
You guys should
co-op
open
thing.
up a Little Big Planet like architecture.
Well, so, yeah, it really isn't even my level.
You can make money.
We made it together, and actually after I had to leave, so he actually went and did some final tweaks to it.
Did he tone it down to like an R rating?
It's better than it was. Yeah, David Ellis made it better, and I'm really excited to get back because, when I was playing it, I hadn't unlocked the mid-level point, which I talked about, and like you found it, and like now we've found everything.
Which
Basically.
I called you and told you, and you're in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah, and I was happy you told me though. So I'm eager to get back to Little Big Planet because, as I said, it's a super time sink. Like you'll think you spent 30 minutes and it's been 5 hours.
Yeah.
And you've just been fucking around.
I don't know what else to say about it. I just want the full game so I can, because I love like the pre-made levels. Like I want to go through them and
when you play one of those levels,
there.
you realize like somebody could make this.
Right.
Like the people at Media Molecule made these, and some of them seem so polished and so good. So much better than my level. But,
And see, my thing, and like the level I've started, I've only made the first like fifth, like I don't know, in-game like foot of the level. It's just one thing.
Are you that meticulous
One
about it?
pitch you have to get across with these swinging things that I've kind of made the characters of, and it's like I make it and then I'm like, wait, I can do this better. And I trash the whole thing, go back and do it. So it's like I can't even get farther.
I find that,
and this is like while I'm like falling asleep at night, I'm like, what can I add to that pit that I made?
I find that the most exciting things I've made are things I just kind of was like messing around, connecting weird things, trying things I hadn't tried before. And sometimes like your level will do things that you think it could do.
And even the options you have for connecting two different pieces, whether it's like a spring or it's like a rubber band or a string, and the different tension that they can have and all that stuff. It's like having that many options for every single step of the way. It's like, because for me, when I play a game, I feel like a normal linear game, I feel like I need to be playing it like as efficiently as possible. That's why it kind of bothers me in games where there's like like in Metal Gear Solid 4, for instance. That's a game that frustrates me because I don't feel like I'm playing it how I should be playing it. And Little Big Planet, I almost had that issue creating stuff because I'm like, I know I can make this little part even cooler.
So what you're saying is you have some obsessive compulsive tendencies when it comes to.
But it's I mean I still love it from what I've played as well.
Yeah, and one of the last things I was messing with, I found like all the options to change like the fog color and like the aesthetics of your level. You can really get in there and mess with things.
You can tweak the lighting. Did you see there's like a Gears of War type lighting where it's that very distinct like it's I mean, I don't even know what else to add about it.
Yeah, I can't wait because our build has no online, and like when we get access to the online, it's over. Like no one's coming to work ever again.
It's true.
We'll turn into like a Little Big Planet exclusive like website. That's all we'll be covering.
People are already sick of us talking about it.
Yeah,
it's like none other.
And Geometry Wars 2. Still.
Are you on the head of the leaderboard still?
I'm the top of my friends list in Pacifism and King. Pacifism 2, like Ray Barnhold beat me, and I was like, fuck. But then I played it for like 2 hours.
What's the highest Pacifism score now? What's yours?
Mine's 254 million.
Oh, fuck off.
How?
What?
The highest is like 1.6 billion.
I need to see a video of how this happened.
I don't see how that is humanly possible.
Well, it's not like I'm playing for. That's the thing is, it's not like you're playing for that much longer when you get a high score because
the multipliers
get
it's
so exponential
high.
that it's like.
Yeah, so if you live 20 seconds longer, you get like a huge score.
Right, and that's why the deadline mode, like the last 30 seconds, is the most important, like to not die because your multiplier is so high up. But there's also in Pacifism, there is a good amount of luck with where the gates are appearing. So that was a good run because I'll sit down and play like 40 games, and most of them will be like 50,000, and then one will be like 250 million. So
savant.
And we'll see if I remember my mystery 6th game.
Anything on Braid you'd like to respond to from last week? Us calling you out.
Because of you, Braid has a higher Metacritic than Geometry Wars 2.
Because of me, not because of like Edge or Eurogamer or
because
anyone.
Of Nick Sutner.
If you go look at the Metacritic, I think your review is the top.
Is it?
I think that just might be because alphabetical.
Because an A+ is worth more than 100.
A+ is worth 500.
No, go play it. I mean, that's all I want you to do. I mean, you and I were talking about. Well, what do you want? What do you want me to?
Well, it's like Jonathan Blow's strategy guide. Just play it.
Well, I saw the Jonathan Blow. He's happy.
I'm not helping you.
He's happy that it's critically acclaimed, but he's not happy because he still hasn't made the money he needs to make. I saw he's like,
really?
Yeah, he's like, buy more copies. I need to make some more money. Yeah.
Well, see, you and I were talking about this a bit the other day, Andrew, because I think it stemmed from you and Mark talking about on last week's show about like this kind of air of pretension in the story.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like, I find it pretentious, but I don't think that's a reason to mark it down.
See, and there's not like a wealth of games like this. There aren't really any other games like this where there is a narrative like this or whatever you want to call it. So it's like, what are you comparing it to? I mean, that's my issue. It's like if you want to find it pretentious, fine, but that's not. This is unique, and I like it because it has this. Whatever you think about it, that's like it's like arguing like first of all, you have to finish it. That's one thing because it's like a book, and if you don't like a book, fine, but that's what it is. Go read my review. That's what I think about it. I don't really.
All right.
There's not much to defend here.
All right.
You should see the look on
Sound a
Skip's
little defensive.
Well, no,
I'll come to Nick's defense as someone who defended the narrative of Metal Gear Solid 4 tirelessly. Because like you do have to see a narrative through, and like ultimately, like when I said, well, compared to the narratives in other stealth action games, what do you people want? And like, compared to the narratives in other puzzle platformers, what do you people expect?
Exactly.
He is pushing the medium, and like that is to be commended.
And going into it, it's like you can't really have, unless you've read about the game, like or heard us talking about it. It's like you don't really have expectations. And
well, but okay, is this? I haven't played through it, but is this a spoiler that like he got dumped by his girlfriend and he's sad? Like that is like the takeaway? Is that really?
If
is that
that's
really
what you want to take from it?
All right.
I took something a bit different, but.
All right, Shane, you've been in a cornfield in
I have been, and luckily I had a DS with Castlevania: Order of Ecclesia, and Jeremy Parrish, he's the other big Castlevania guy here at the office, and I had to apologize to him today because I overrated Portrait of Ruin, and he back in the day he was like, "This is good, but it's not great," and like playing through this game. Yeah, like this is maybe the best Castlevania ever, and then that's saying like,
better than Symphony of the Night.
Maybe it's pretty fucking amazing.
I can't remember how you described it as a mix of Symphony and something else last week.
Well, Simon's Quest wasn't it?
Yeah, and like that stands true because the parts of Simon's Quest that are good, where you're like going to different places that are very unique and returning to a town, more of an action RPG. This is the most RPG like.
How much do you like Symphony of the Night?
I love Symphony of the Night.
That's like top 10 games for me. Yeah, I'd say many people.
I adore.
So this is this is a big deal.
Like I think Symphony of the Night gets put on this pedestal, and like some of the other EGA Metroidvanias, Aria of Sorrow, have actual gameplay systems that are deeper, more rewarding than what you had in Symphony of the Night. So this game, it has the full equipment system for Symphony of the Night, and equipment really matters because this game is difficult. You will die a lot. You'll die all the time.
If you don't have the right gear, or even if you do have the right gear.
You have to have the right gear. You have to have the right glyphs equipped. You have to level up sometimes. I mean, there are some levels where you realize this isn't an exploration level. This is like a brutal, like, remember in Symphony of the Night when you're fighting through, I forget the one part area where you're just like fighting really hard enemies. So there's areas like that here where you're just like
probably the ones with the plant girls and the spikes.
Well, in
coming
Symphony
up.
of the Night,
Those
you
are the
can
worst
go
ones
to
I hated.
areas that you're not really supposed to go to yet.
Yeah.
'Cause they're really hard.
right. And also every area, and like so far I'm at like 60%, and I've unlocked like 16 areas on the map to go to that you can go back to and explore, and all those areas have like 3 or 4 layers of things to find that you can't you have to keep unlocking new things, come back to find them. And the central plot of this game is you're trying to uncover all these villagers who've been kidnapped by this bad guy. So you're going all over trying to find them. They're really well hidden, and when you find each one, they go back to the town, and that opens up a series of subquests, and they're all unique, and some of them are really fun. Like there's this old lady, she wants you to she remembers all these places she's been. She's like, oh, if you could find this and draw a picture of it and bring it back to me. And this other guy wants you to go take pictures of monsters. Another guy wants you to go record what enemies say, because all the enemies now have like little voice samples, and like some of them are really funny, and there's tons more voice in the game. The graphics are better. There's lots of parallax. And I don't know, I'm really impressed.
This sounds awesome.
I'm really impressed by how difficult it is. You'll die all the time. Bosses are super hard.
Is it long? Because that's one great thing about
Yeah.
Symphony 2 is it's like quantity and quality, because it's like twice as long as you think.
I got to the bad ending today, and like I feel like there's still a lot left in the game, and trying to get to the good ending, I'm a little stuck. And you'll find all these things you have no idea what you're supposed to do, and I figured some of them out. I haven't figured others out. I don't know. I'm incredibly impressed with this. Like he went all out on graphics and gameplay, and there's no touchscreen gimmickry. He doesn't need it.
Good.
It's just pure, unadulterated action RPG Castlevania, and I'm loving it.
Sweet.
I'm totally sold on this. The last Castlevania game I just totally devoured and grinded out was Aria. Was Aria the first one?
Aria, yeah.
Yeah, Aria.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of Aria mixed with Symphony, and also like I'm this far in and no Dracula, which is kind of crazy.
An important question for me:
Yeah.
Are there random item drops for the enemies?
Yes, and
That's what I want.
there are random item drops. I got the hat that gives you more random items, and some of the fetch quests are for random items. There's a guy I have to bring him sushi. I've killed this fish like 100 times trying to get the sushi out of it. Yeah.
That's what I want, because in like Dawn of Souls, like once you get the soul, there's no reason to keep like hacking at that enemy.
Well, and
There is, though, if you power them, you can level up the souls.
right. Well, what's interesting about the glyph system is so you get new glyphs. Some of them you just find, they'll be hanging out, like you'll break a statue and use a glyph. Other ones, enemies can give you a glyph, like a summon glyph, and when you kill the enemy, you'll see a little purple flash. So you know, like eventually, if I kill this enemy enough times, I'll get its glyph. But other enemies, like they'll use magic, and you have to actually like suck the glyph in while they're doing their spell, and it's like a timing thing. Like when they start the spell, you have to start doing your glyph suck, and yeah, it's
Nice.
like a weird timing thing. And bosses too, like a boss will do a spell, and you're like, well, this is my only chance to get this spell. So like when he starts the spell, you have to start your like sucking the glyph in.
Nice.
So yeah.
'Cause I think how good the backtracking is kind of like makes or breaks a Castlevania game.
Right.
'Cause it's like it has to be fun going back through the same area like a dozen times.
Yeah, and when this one, like a lot of things, you'll see it and you're like, how do I get that? And you wonder, can I get this? And most of the time you can. It's just a matter of figuring out the right combination of your powers to get it. So yeah, I'm completely enamored with it.
When's it out?
I believe it is beginning of October.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
What have you been playing, Andrew?
I have been this week. I spent an evening with Soul Calibur 4 online.
see, I've had good
It was
experiences.
the worst evening of my life.
Yeah, I saw you said, but hate here. So I've had good experiences online.
Well, I've only spent an hour.
I
of
had the
it.
idea that you two were playing each other anonymously, and Shane was winning, and you're like, "Fuck this!" And Shane's like, "This rock."
Were you playing as Darth Vader or Cervantes? Because that's all I played against.
Really?
A couple Keelix in there, but Keelix mostly spammed
were these
me.
ranked matches or player matches?
Ranked matches were the only ones
Can't
I could
you-
find. I was
can't
playing
you
late
filter-
at night.
I thought you
filter
could
them out.
I thought you couldn't play Vader in ranked matches.
I did.
All right.
Maybe I did that
I know you
wrong,
can't play
but
The
no.
Apprentice in ranked matches.
No, yeah. I
Okay.
didn't see any of the Apprentice,
Yeah,
but it was
rank
Vader.
matches are only default characters, so it's only you can't do any of the unlock characters, right?
Well, I think some of them you can, but
The whole maybe it's just because I was playing late at night, but trying to actually get into a match.
that's troublesome.
Annoying as hell
Yeah.
because it takes a long time to find the match.
And then there's no quick rematch.
There's no quick rematch, and if you don't enter the game right away, like if you select a match and you want to get into it, and it's like, oh, sorry, this game no longer exists.
Right.
It wipes out all the entire list, so you have to go back and refresh the list. So it's kind of like a random.
Oh, sucks.
Yeah, you got to luck out and get a good connection too. Like I was ending up taking really bad connections just so I could actually.
How
play
late
a
at
game.
night were you playing?
between 12 and 1, so not that late.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
I've never been able to boot it up and get a match right away. You always have to try. But then, like,
Frustrating.
what's much more fun are the friend matches.
That's what I need to start doing, playing you and Ryan.
Yeah,
and a
because
bunch
then
of guys in the
you know,
office.
after the match, you just go back to the character select screen. You're
Yeah.
chatting the whole time. It's fun. It's just like having the person there.
And I started playing as Sophie, which is my number one character, and I was doing well. I was winning some matches against like similar level because I filtered out by plus or minus 10 levels.
Yeah.
Because I know I can't compete with the bigger guys. But then I switched to Nightmare, which was my number 2, and I never realized how slow he was. Like how much pre-planning you need to have against like really good players
Yeah.
because they will out prioritize you almost every single time unless you know what you're
Well,
doing.
and people aren't ashamed to spam the same move over and
That's
over
what I
again.
encountered a lot with Cervantes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Vader.
In fact, Cervantes.
Keelik is a bad one too. So I just got really frustrated and threw my remote accidentally against the wall once. And then
Accidentally.
accidentally I was kind of slamming it into the couch and lost grip.
If you play ranked matches, you do get money though in the game, which
Yeah.
is cool. If you beat
you
somebody
win.
way stronger, then you get a ton of money.
if you win,
Oh.
that's the key. I did not.
Cervantes is just sort of a cheap all-round character, whatever mode you're playing in
Yeah.
this
It's
time
like-
round. Because
yeah.
in arcade mode, I mean, he has a couple of moves that you can just do over and over and over.
His like M Bison like Psycho
Yes.
Crusher
Yeah.
thing, and he seems to have like really good throw priority on
Yeah.
you. And
I did get really pissed off. Now I think about it, when I started losing ranked matches, it just pisses you off
pisses
more and more.
me
Then you-
off
but then
because
you're
it's
like,
on there. It's
but
on
then
your
you're like,
record.
but you're like, I don't want to go out losing, so you try another one.
That's exactly what my problem was. I
Yeah.
don't want to go to bed on a loss,
Right.
And I had to because like I was getting so mad.
Okay, we'll have to play.
We'll play. Yeah.
By the way,
Have you been playing a lot of single player as well?
Yeah, I've been doing.
you
The other
been in
thing
the
that was
tower?
frustrating me was the tower.
Tower gets
How far up the tower are you?
hard.
I'm up to 20.
Yeah, I'm
I
up there
think.
as well.
And then
At that point, it's really
and then I
hard.
started doing the descending one because that got me more money on like a regular basis
I'm up
to
to like,
buy more
up
clothes.
near 20, and Cervantes now has long flowing white. Not Cervantes, Voldo now has
nice.
hair and glasses.
Have you gone downstairs? Have you descended? yet?
No, I've just been going up.
Oh my God, that's another problem with like the single player balance is that the first 4 rounds, because descending it's not like by floor or like you can't unlock floors and do them individually. You just keep going down as far as you can with 2 characters. The first 4 rounds totally easy. The 5th round, this woman in a bunny suit just destroys you every single time, and like. Why can't you balance this a little better? Like, even it out.
Yeah.
I'm fine with being destroyed on, like, the 10th level, maybe, but just kind of ramp it up normally.
It's all about you have to bring really good equipment.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it carries over that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it does it on the way up as well. There's that round where you go through all the skeleton guys, then it throws the lizard guys at you, and they just crouch down.
That was the one.
And they keep coming at you from underneath, and if you don't have a
Exactly.
good low block, you're
Yeah.
screwed.
That was the one where I realized about the equipment that I definitely needed to restock.
It just
that.
seems unfair because like I've beaten 4 people and then like here's another person. It's like yeah, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially if you get thrown or ringed out and you like lose your guy right
Well,
away.
there's the guy with this, what's his name? The guy with the scythe. And he has that move.
that guy sucks.
Well, the
I
guy
hate
he
him.
has that move
You
where
mean
he
Zasalamel?
Yes.
and he can grab you and
Yeah.
and he'll like hook you towards him and then flip you backwards.
He can kill you in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, and then when you fall off that move, you'll fall closer to him for some reason,
Yeah.
and then he'll do it again.
and he'll hook you and ring you out
Yeah.
like in a couple of
Or
seconds.
you get the one like
Jackass.
like this guy you can't throw. This guy heals. This guy. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh god.
Yeah, this guy you can't ring out.
Yeah, I much prefer playing matches in the office.
Hey, real quick, I remember
Yeah.
my 6th game,
Oh yeah.
which was Psychonauts, only for the purpose of
right.
pimping backlog.
Oh, you guys are still doing the.
We are.
Yeah.
We
got
are.
We have our 4th episode coming on Monday,
And then
we
a
have
surprise special
a very
5th
special
episode.
5th episode.
And if you are a longtime listener to One Up Years, you might infer what that means
A
for
very, a,
One Up
very,
FM.
a very special episode of the
A
Kids
very
Did.
special episode. I played about half an hour of Bionic Commando today. I've never
Rearmed.
I've never played Bionic
What?
Commando before.
I haven't either.
What? Well, you make sense. You grew up in a foreign land, but you, what was your?
I grew up in
and
Wisconsin.
I was 3!
And he's quite young.
And you're quite young. I thought maybe your parents wouldn't let you play it because it was
Oh no. It was,
violent.
By the way, probably from you spreading all the things. Well,
What?
where's Nick from? Which is still a big mystery. So I set my gamer tag on 1UpFM last week. So I've
That's
been getting
bad.
all these-
That's a bad idea.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not whatever. So I've been getting all these friend requests, and so one message I got was some guy saying like, "Hey, I'm a big 1UP fan and fellow Canadian," and I'm not
You're
sure
like,
about
"Fuck
that last
Canada."
part. And
Well, it
since then,
reminds me.
I got another one about
I
Canada.
had one message in my Xbox Live inbox after last week's show from someone with the gamer tag "Kill Black Men,"
Everyone in our office
Everyone
got
in
this
the
too.
office
and it
got
was,
that.
"Why do you hate home? I'm gonna kill you."
I love how they're all personalized because mine said, "Fuck you, Braid sucks, PSN games are better," and Mike Nelson's said Mike Nelson's was so much worse. It was like, I'm going to stab you in the throat when you're walking down the street. I was like, why is that so much more threatening?
Wow.
I love our listeners.
How did Kill Black Men not get filtered out by the Microsoft like?
I think it's because Kill was spelled with a 1.
Oh,
Lovely.
Yeah, it was very
I just
charming.
love how we got personalized hate
He
mail.
tried to stab in the throat.
It's nice that he didn't send the
Mike's-
same message to all of us.
Yeah, so the tip out there to the listeners, if you're going to send us hate mail, like, make it count.
Yeah.
Spice it up.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying I hated home.
I want to actually fear you and not just laugh at you.
Yeah.
So, Bionic Commando, I've never played it, and just based on everything Jeremy has said in the last month about it, just listening to him talk about Retronauts and talk about the game, he's right. Like, if you don't know, like, it takes a long time to get over the fact that you can't jump.
And it's really hard.
And it's really hard.
Yeah.
I've been doing the tutorials. I'm getting used to it, but the tutorials where it's like swing here and then jump here, and then while you're in midair, press down so you can shoot over really fast,
Yeah.
but it has to be really, 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 really fast.
There's lots of last chance. You have to like wait till the top of your jump, the arc of your jump, just send,
Yeah,
it's hard.
I totally dig the music and the graphics. I think it's really like one of those really cool retro things going on, and I really can't wait to like actually play it more because I feel like I've been missing out all these years. And then I played Call of Duty World at War late last week.
And you can talk about it?
Yeah, the preview's going up Friday, which is today.
How is it?
I really liked it. We were playing, me and Jay Fresh went, and they showed us 2 missions, one of them on the Pacific side and the other one on the Russian side. And that was my first kind of my first question to them, like, why are you doing the multiple campaigns, especially when, like, 2 entirely different sides of the war, 2 different sides of the world, 2 different timelines, and there's going to be very, very tenuous links between the 2 of them. So
It's different time, so it's not like 4 where
Yeah,
it
yeah.
all comes together at the
no,
end.
it's not one main story. It's like the Pacific Rim, like pushing towards Tokyo. That happens, I think, in late 1944, and then the Russians pushing into Berlin, like to end the entire war, is 1945.
So it's like Time Splitters. Distant future suddenly.
Yeah.
Different weapons.
So the jumping between the 2 things, I think, is going to be really pretty jarring. So, but the game itself, once I started playing it, like totally feels like Call of Duty 4.
Oh, cool.
Totally looks like Call of Duty 4, but with World War II stuff.
I like
and
Call of Duty 3. I don't understand the hate.
I liked it too, but I can understand why people thought it was a little underwhelming. Like,
I think everyone
from
was just tired of it,
people were tired of it, and it wasn't all that
People-
exciting of a location.
People like to think that because they know it's a different developer, they're like, oh, I can be snooty about
Right, and
stuff
that's
I like.
that's a problem because a lot of people are dismissing World at War out of hand, and they shouldn't be.
Right.
Did you get to try co-op?
We played co-op. I played co-op, regular co-op through this one mission in the jungle, and my commanding officer was Jack Bauer himself,
Whoa.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Nice.
Totally weird to hear.
Playing
like,
himself.
Is that announced?
No, no.
Has that been announced?
In the previews today
okay.
going up, it is. And what was I going to say? We started off in this river, came across a downed P-51 Mustang, and they showed off like the Japanese tactics of we hid a grenade under this body, and now we're going to ambush you. And
Is it as gruesome as we've seen? In terms
Jay
of
Fresh
blood and gore?
Jay Fresh was saying that he noticed a lot more blood. I didn't. Maybe I just wasn't like paying attention for it. Maybe he played the Berlin level, and I think that was a little more gruesome. But I didn't really
I'm
notice
curious
anything.
to see
there.
how Violent Brothers in Arms, which is that I don't even know if that's still coming out in like a week. Maybe.
I believe it comes out in October now.
Yeah, it got
Really?
pushed to
Okay.
October.
I'm curious how violent that will be because those, or at least the first game was fairly violent, like blowing pieces off people, which I think is kind of important to a war game. So, but maybe not in Call of Duty.
Maybe not in Call of Duty, but the one thing I was worried about was the scenes, like because Call of Duty 4, what I loved was like these explosive, like really dramatic set pieces and stuff that Infinity Ward has always been known to be really good at.
Right.
And they showed us 2 things. One in the Pacific campaign, this giant tank battle on an airfield. And you have American tanks going against Japanese tanks, and your squad's kind of running, weaving in between all the tanks.
Yeah.
And you find a rocket launcher, and you help clear out the Japanese tanks and all the stuff happening around you. And I think they really got the whole like background war stuff, the big scenes, the big battles.
The
I think they
ambience.
got it right. Yeah, the ambience
Chaos
is
of
really good.
War.
So I'm really excited about it. And JFresh played the competitive co-op, which is basically the point system
It's
from
like
COD 4's
campaign
multiplayer.
scoring.
And campaign scoring from Halo 3. They even have like death cards, which are the skulls, which will modify the rules and stuff.
Do you have to go find them like the skulls?
I think you have to like unlock them or earn them. I'm not entirely sure. They haven't really talked about that much
Right.
too much.
Were they talking release dates? Not so much.
Not so much. They say they've been working on it for 2 years. They've had full access to Call of Duty 4 engine. They implied when it was done.
It's a little nebulous.
Yeah, it's a little nebulous. But it's looking really good so far, and I'm excited about it. I understand if you're still like not into the World War II thing, then fine. It's not going to change your mind. But just because it's Treyarch,
I don't think lots of Call of Duty fans are like, oh, I refuse to play a game set in World War II.
A lot of people are. When they heard that was going back to World War II, they're like, what? Like Call of Duty Modern Combat.
It's the greatest war.
I agree.
What did you think of Mercs? What did you think of Mercenaries?
2?
Yeah.
I only played like one mission of it, so it's really hard to say. I was going to ask you what you thought, or if you had any problems with the blast damage from like grenades and rockets.
Well, I know you mentioned that little thing you wrote about it.
Yeah.
You got to get used to it, and like when you like,
is that how it was?
When you be like, hey, carpet
one?
bomb this area, you have to get away.
But even with like incoming enemy grenades, I would identify it right away, and I'd start running, and I would still get like hit pretty hard by it.
Well, it's really hard to die.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be missions where you'll die over and over, but in general, like yesterday, like, and this is the review code of the game. Like, I flew as high as I could over the city in a helicopter and jumped out and didn't die when I hit the ground, like falling like 3 miles.
Nice.
Wow.
Because you always go down to like 2 life. That's like the number you drop to is 2, and then that seems like there's a whole other life bar between 2 and 0. So in some instances, it's really hard to die. I will say my one. Again, I don't know how much we should be talking about this, but my one main annoyance so far, like mechanically, is that accelerate in vehicles is A and reverse is X, as opposed to being on the triggers.
Exactly.
And you can't change it.
You can't change it?
No.
I was wondering about that.
Which is really annoying.
Every time I got into a vehicle, I hit the right trigger and nothing happened.
That seems like a very archaic thing.
Yeah. So. Is that it for everyone?
You played anything else?
No, I've had a very busy social calendar this past week.
Are you done with Geometry Wars now that you got your wax off?
When I got close to your score in I think it was Evolved, I was like 300,000 points behind you. That was my top score in that. So
I have like 8 friends above me.
Yeah, I didn't want to instigate a war with you because I know I would lose. So I'll go back to Geometry Wars because, well, actually Galaga's coming out soon, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Galaga.
I might switch to Galaga. I'm really looking forward to that.
It's Galaga. Like I played a bit of it, the trial of it, and it takes a longer while to get going. Like you play for like 10 minutes until the really cool stuff and like unique enemy patterns and stuff starts coming.
Galaga's kind of like that's how Galaga is.
I know, but I'm saying I was expecting it to be more like Pac-Man C or Geometry Wars, where you pick it up and it's kind of instantly fun. It is a different pace. I very much thought it was going to, because it's the Pac-Man CE team, I thought it was going to be the same thing where it was like maybe a bunch of shorter modes. I didn't really know, but it is still kind of this like play as far as you can thing.
I'm just excited about how much like gapless it is. Gapless is one of my favorite Galagas. Gapless.
This is a game?
Gapless, yeah. Galaga 3. Gapless.
Oh. Gapless.
Gapless.
All right, let's take a break. On the other end, we'll come out with news, NPDs, the EA stuff, Suda 51 Mikami, and we'll be back after this. And we are back with the news. NPD Day. Breaking news.
NPDs.
Let's see. DS 608,000. Wii 555,000. Down from 666,000 last month. I see a trend happening.
So now that we know what they're doing next month,
444,000 next month.
Probably not.
No.
444 million.
Important to note that we did still outsell PS3 and 360 combined.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. PlayStation 3 at 225,000, PSP 222,000, Xbox 360 at 205,000. What say we about that?
Maybe people are waiting for the September 7th price drop.
There was a price drop.
There was a price drop.
Yeah, but the news of the next price drop
that was just
leaked out pretty early.
Rumored price drop.
But I mean, that may have had an impact because that was pretty widely reported.
It's possible.
You mean the people holding back?
I mean, save another $50 on each one.
Well, I think what's interesting is that PS3 is still on top, and yet on the software side, Metal Gear is not on the top 10.
You're spoiling it. You're getting ahead of yourself. Top 10
And
software.
Actually, sorry, I shouldn't say I found that interesting. Phil pointed that out to me, and I was
I
like,
actually
that is
found
interesting.
I found that interesting as well. Top 10 software, NCAA football, 2009 for the 360. Wii Fit, 370,000.
That's huge.
America's
Number 2.
America's getting healthy.
There will be many more balanced board games.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's also impressive is Guitar Hero on tour. Another strong showing, 309,000. They're up to 730,000.
Why do you buy this shit?
Before that came out, whenever I talked about people, I was like, there's no demographic for this game. If you're at home, you're going to play on your console. If you're on the go, you're not going to want to play that on the go.
There is a demographic
Apparently
for this
it's
game.
massive.
Apparently, we are very wrong. And
everybody else.
I think it's kids. I think it's
and
kids.
Yeah.
I guess I'm wrong in not liking it.
No, you're not.
You can really not like the next 3 SKUs for it.
Guitar Hero on tour, Aerosmith. Maybe. Nah, I hope not.
Also, Rock Band Wii. What number
Rock
is that?
Band Wii is number 8.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Let's go to the other ones. Wii Play is doing strong as usual. NCAA for PS3.
Should not be a software SKU.
Soul Calibur 4 for 360 did well, 220,000-ish. Mario Kart's still up there. Rock Band for Wii, number 8, 165,000.
Not
in its
bad.
debut. PlayStation 3, Soul Calibur 4. The 2 SKUs combined for, let's do the math, 373,000.
That's pretty
That's
respectable.
pretty respectable for
Yeah.
Soul Calibur 4.
It came out, 1 week of that? 2
Yeah.
weeks of that?
I mean, it's pretty hardcore. So,
Yeah.
And my personal favorite of this top 10 is Sid Meier's Civilization Revolution
which version?
360.
Oh.
147,000.
Nice.
Well done.
Yeah.
It's a big hit.
Lots of smart people learn about geopolitics.
So
on
are
their 360s.
PS3 selling as Blu-ray players? Because there aren't. I
I think it's interesting
it's
that
still
both
behind in
both
software.
the PS3 and the PSP had a very respectable month.
Well, and also to note the Metal Gear question, there are still those Metal Gear bundles out there, so who knows? We don't know the breakdown of what
Right.
Right.
people who want Metal Gear probably are buying that bundle.
That's true.
You would think.
And what is selling PSPs? Even
Piracy?
That's what I want. It might be piracy. I've
the infinite free games if you want to be a pirate.
Although, I mean,
it's sad to say I haven't turned my PSP on in a long time. I've been
know,
trying.
neither.
I've been
Well,
trying to
it's
make a
not sad to
list
say,
of
there's
stuff
no
that I
games.
missed. Yeah, but even the back
there
library.
are
I've missed.
games. I mean,
there are games.
God of War, Crisis Core. There's a lot.
There are a lot of
you
good
know.
games.
That was March. It's August.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in terms of people buying,
Pedantic.
in terms of people buying hardware, there are reasons to buy PSP hardware if you're a person.
You can play music on it still.
You can watch movies on it. There's a lot of reasons.
There's lots of reasons, and I really want to start playing my PSP more and DS. I haven't touched that in a long time.
But
I like the look of the blue one. I think the blue one, the Madden
one?
Yeah, I think it looks nice.
I think the 360 price drop not having much of an impact. I think that should tell Microsoft they need a real price drop. That was like a price correction or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Something
it
advertised
was just
and rolled out.
It was a clearance SKU,
Yeah.
right?
That was the same thing they did with when the MotorStorm bundle came out.
right.
Where they just
a correction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, also this is a 4-week month. I think next month will be more indicative of what's really happening.
Another interesting number thing, not directly related to NPD, but this came out I think late last week. Super Monkey Ball for iPhone, 300,000. Not bad.
That's
how
big.
about that, huh?
Not bad.
Good job, Ethan.
Congratulations, Ethan,
Yeah.
Ethan Einhorn. It is like the realest game. You
Go
know?
listen to our second episode of 1UP FM for a full interview with Ethan Einhorn.
Indeed.
You're
Indeed.
shameless with your plugging.
Well,
Well, Phil's not here. I got to pick up the
That's
slack.
true.
Ah.
All right, there was some big news today. That EA thing besides those casual games.
Oh yeah, by the way, we're doing the news cooperatively.
Yeah,
today.
we're
Competitively.
tag teaming
cooperatively.
here. They announced two
4-player co-op news.
They announced two really big new partnership titles coming out. One is being made by Grasshopper Manufacturer and the notorious Suda51, the guy who behind Killer 7 and No More Heroes, along with Resident Evil mastermind Shinji Mikami.
And Tetsuya Mizuguchi's in there too.
Well, and they're getting a little bit of assistance from Q Entertainment. Yeah, Tetsuya Mizuguchi, the guy who made Rez and Lumines.
This is kind of a dream team for some people.
Yeah, a hardcore game of wet dream
Yeah.
right
It was,
here.
it was all organized by CAA, which is like one of the big Hollywood agencies. So
Yeah.
this to me shows like gaming becoming more like Hollywood, and where like you get the talent together, you get the money together, you get the studio backing, and you make a
Like
project.
3 years, like when we started doing One Up Yours, like 3 years ago, would you have ever believed that we were going to be talking about EA signing a game from these guys?
Right.
I mean, like talk about like the most unlikely change in the way things are being done.
In terms of the game, there's not much to say. It's a horror title for PS3, 360, PC, and Wii. Which
they were hilarious. They came
makes you
out on
wonder.
stage, and obviously, I mean, it was a very receptive crowd because it was mostly games press in the room, and they announced it, and there was lots of big cheers. And Suda came out, and he did most of the talking, and Mikami just kind of said, hey, it's going to be awesome. We'll talk to you soon. But Suda was hilarious. He's like, yeah, we're going to do all this stuff, and it's here's what it is. We can't tell you anything about it at all, so sit tight. Don't worry. But it's like, and they were building a lot of. I mean, like they had like a meeting room where people could go and talk to them about it. But it was clear that everything that was going to be said was said on stage.
The announcement is
we are
the
working with
collaboration.
EA.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's all they need to get the headlines.
Yeah.
For all the sites.
Well, the important details: Suda Goichi is the lead designer. Mikami is a consultant, and Q is working in some nebulous, mysterious
So it's
way.
got like
They're finding really cool music for it.
Well, hopefully, Suda 51 will bring his unique narrative and aesthetic, and Mikami will teach him how to make gameplay because he doesn't really know how to do
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And Miz will just set up some like really awesome techno and trance music.
The launch party will be great.
Oh yeah.
The other big announcement was that EA has hooked up with the Polish studio People Can Fly. They made Painkiller. It was like a first-person shooter where you shot giant monsters.
Kind of an under the radar, underappreciated series of games.
Came to Xbox One.
Yeah, and mostly PC, and they're really fun.
They're like, it was like Serious Sam.
Wasn't it
Yeah,
released by
Killathon.
Wasn't it released by like the Adventure Company or something?
It was. Who was it? It was.
Someone in Canada.
Yeah, I
think
can't
you're
remember
right.
exactly.
And
I think it was.
They also did the PC port of Gears of War with Epic.
That's
so
what-
Epic
that's-
Game.
and then they bought them.
Right. And so this is technically a deal between EA and Epic.
Yeah.
And Mark Rain was there to talk about why it's so awesome.
Also, bounding on stage to say, "We're doing something awesome, but we can't tell you what it is. Thanks, bye."
Does that mean that EA is publishing Gears of War 3? Is that what that means?
There was the video lingered on Gears of War 2 an awful lot.
Interesting.
In the introduction to who is Epic, and it was Gears of War, Unreal Tournament 3, and Gears of War 2 was the video demonstration.
So, and this game is also multi-platform: PC, 360, PS3.
Yeah.
They didn't say what this game was at all, right?
No, I mean that was the funny thing about these announcements, in that they had this captive audience.
They didn't
in the room.
they didn't even say this was a shooter, right?
No, they just said we are doing this game.
I think we can safely assume.
I
it's
safely assume it's a-
something
There'll be
with
lots
the
of
shooter
things
mechanic.
running at something else.
They're
Yeah.
probably really big guys with lots of armor, and it's
And there'll be blood and shouting.
very brown. But yeah, it's exciting, and it shows the new EA partners. EA has become not the evil, tyranny they were.
The EA Partners
years ago.
program is getting more and more interesting with each announcement now. I mean, it's the very broad spread. But I think the Grasshopper thing is the most interesting. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's just so unexpected.
Completely unexpected.
And it's almost like a stab at like Ubisoft, because it's the kind of thing you almost expect from them after partnering with No More Heroes. Like,
Yeah.
you think like that's kind of hardcore cachet they might go after, and like EA is like
Yeah, and it's
sniping,
EA kind of
sniping
saying,
them at it.
"Hey,
Anything
we
you
can
can
do
do,
that
we
too."
can do better.
Because we're EA,
Yeah.
we're huge.
And it's also, I mean, it's funny in the last 6 months, like the bad press that Vivendi, Blizzard, Activision has got versus all the good press EA has got in terms of the megacorps.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway,
Me next.
I think so.
In downloadable content news this week, downloadable release, Capcom's promised Street Fighter surprise. Street Fighter is coming to the PlayStation 3, but it's not Turbo, it's not HD Remix,
Street Fighter.
it's Alpha.
why can't it be Alpha
and
2?
it's-
I brought this up.
And
I
it's
included
not
this
Alpha
in-
2, it's not all the Alphas.
That's what I was going to say. Why
It's
not have a package of all the
Alpha.
alphas? The first Alpha wasn't even the best one, wasn't it?
No,
Alpha 2?
Alpha 2 is
Alpha
the best
2
one.
is the good one, but
Actually, Alpha 2 Gold is the best.
that's not what you're getting. But, well,
it's still decent.
It's still, yeah.
That's available today.
Yep.
Or was available yesterday. and
Available
Thursday. Do we know
yesterday, yeah.
how much the price was on it?
We don't have it here.
I'm going to say $10.
$10?
You
No,
just,
I'm going to say $8.
$8.
Nick pulling prices out of his ass.
I think it could be as low as $5.
It could be, yeah.
What is a fantastic prize, we touched on this earlier, EA announced at their event this week that Burnout Paradise will be available to download in full on the PlayStation Network for $29.99.
We need to ask Alex or someone at Criterion why they're not charging. Like, why they're not charging for all the extended.
Why Cagney
They are
is
charging-
Why everything?
No, they're charging for. Are they charging for bikes?
They're not
No,
charging.
no.
No,
Or they're charging for
the
one
Cagney
of them.
download pack
Are
was
they?
free,
No,
and
thought
then
so.
the
No?
new one.
Planes?
all,
Nothing?
all free. And this is when this is available, it's going to have all the updates, right?
The downloaded version will incorporate all of the recent major updates to the game. So I believe it's Burnout Paradise, the fixes that came, and then the Cagney download pack, which has the 2 new cars, the additional mode, and the 70 multi-part challenges incremental to the. So you're getting, one hell of a lot of game for $30.
and you're going to get more of it eventually.
Well, and it's funny.
Yeah.
Last week we were talking about the trend towards digital distribution and where retail where it's going, and this is the first
And
third.
as I recall, some people thought that we were bullshit for saying
Yeah,
that.
and this is the first third-party game like this that we've seen this happen.
You look at what's on. PlayStation. Sony is being the ballsiest of everyone, right? And I think that people they're partnering with, because now there is one of the best probably the best next generation racing game, Burnout. Download $30. An extremely good online shooter that they keep iterating on. They did another update this week to Warhawk, and the base version of Warhawk's $30. You got Siren.
SOCOM coming in
Well,
October.
it's got a 10-year life cycle. You got to stretch that shit out.
But you got Siren, which is the other news this week. That Siren, they announced this week that there is not a Blu-ray version of Siren. It will be PlayStation Network only.
That is
In America.
so,
Every other territory is getting a
that's
Blu-ray.
so
Yeah.
weird.
Because it is huge. I downloaded it. It takes up
a
your entire. It's
massive
huge.
game.
It's
yeah,
huge.
I've only downloaded the first couple chapters. It's something I've been meaning to play.
But there's, you can fill up your PS3 hard drive with some truly excellent games right now.
I have to wonder what GameStop thinks of all this.
Well, this is the step. We talked about this a few weeks ago, and this is the step that everyone is moving towards and experimenting with. And you Burnout, there is still the retail version of it, and you put it in, and if you put the new Paradise retail disc in right now, the first thing it'll do is say, "Do you want to download the Cagney update?" And that's big. On 360, it's a nearly 400 meg download.
That's big. And I bet the new stuff.
And next month there's bikes, and the way that they're transitioning from the extra content. The UI on Paradise got completely overhauled with the Cagney update. It has this almost sort of Facebook Mac looking thing
I haven't
now
played
on the
it
front
since,
where
but
there's a news feed instead of a title screen now.
I was actually planning to get back into Burnout this weekend, so
It's really good. The opening screen is that. The whole front end is completely different, and now you have a news feed, and it tells you sort of there's time of day and a calendar and an event planner, and then you go in, and they changed a lot of the Atomica voiceover stuff, and not only does he talk about stuff that's in the download pack, he also teases the next download pack by telling you to go to places and look for hints as to what's coming to the game.
wow.
See, I was really annoyed by DJ Atomica, but that's really cool.
There's one point
Well,
he's
yeah.
like, drive down to the waterfront and go to the top floor of the parking lot and see if you can see a hint on what's coming next to Paradise City.
Wow.
And it's like,
What
okay,
happened
so
to
then you'll
him-
spend the next 15 minutes trying to find the thing that he was talking about.
What happened to him teasing SSX? Remember when it first came? He said something about where we'll be hitting the slopes this fall. or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that.
Liar. But I'm curious to see how that sells. I wonder if it does sell well on PSN, what that means for a game that you think is over, done. Stick a fork in it. 8 months later, has a new life.
So why are PS2 games still not available, or a lot more PS1 games?
It's kind of annoying because in Japan they have tons of PS1 games, and we have a handful.
But why not PS2 if they're putting these larger things up that cost money?
The big rumor is at some point they're gonna do PS2, and they want to have a lot of them, and that's the reason there's no backwards compatibility. But no one knows why.
It's kind of the same problem with Virtual Console. People are wondering where the games are for that.
It sounds like, take backwards compatibility out, so if you want to play a game that you already own, you got to buy it again, right?
Right. We'll see.
Sucks.
Yeah.
That's the end of downloadable content.
Oh,
news.
okay.
It's
So,
you. You're up.
What the hell is my theme?
Achievements,
kind of.
kind of.
The first one's not really okay. So apparently, Bizarre Creations has enough ideas for 10 Geometry Wars games. Programmer Stephen Cakebread told NTV Multiplayer Blog, "We have enough game ideas to do Geometry Wars for probably 10 more games. It depends on what will work." And Bizarre
10?
Games manager Craig Howard further confirmed the inevitable sequels. It's definitely a franchise. It's not going to stop, he says.
The whole quote about wondering, making sure that it works. I don't think they're gonna have 10 games. They're gonna have 5, maybe.
Well, they've talked about the development of Retro Evolve 2, and they were saying how they had a lot of ideas that they threw out, and And eventually they came to the, I think, conclusion that it was like more modes instead of just a better base game is the way to go.
Yeah,
so
I think
it's just going to be more takes on this very basic thing.
When I first played it, I was like, well, this is really conservative because it looks the same. But you realize it's brilliant because it was just enough variations on the theme to make you still addicted. And like, it leaves them like, well, like there's still so much they can do with visuals and new ideas.
I think the look is sort of the signature.
Yeah, I don't think they would change the look.
I think they can
going into the little like
I think they can rethink it.
Going into the little debug mode, the one where you hit right bumper and select. Have you guys all done that? You hit right bumper
the 3D
and
pause mode. Yeah,
that like I know myself, and I know a lot of people will be like, I want to play with this new view that I tweaked.
You'd want to play in that mode?
I'd say they can mess around with the camera a little bit. At least make it like
I think it would make you hurl.
What's that PSN? Well, no, what's that? Is it Nucleus, that PSN game? I think where the camera's a little lower and like moves around the board a little bit. I'm just saying the look is the look's important, but you can keep that look and still mess with.
I think there are huge changes they can make. That
the stuff they could maybe do, because like there was years and years ago, and we're talking sort of 8-bit home computer days. There was a game called Virus. Do you remember it? That had kind of a geometry. Anyone that listens from Europe will know this game. And it has
Amstrad.
No, it was. Oh God, I want to say there was a computer called the Archimedes, and I think there might have been an Amiga version as well.
For the ST.
Maybe, but it had that kind of geometry wars, very self-consciously, like making the polygons the central sort of visual theme, but it was three-dimensional and it was like affecting things in an environment, and your view was very limited the way that Geometry Wars limits your view, but it was three-dimensional. I mean, like if they wanted to take the aesthetic and apply it to other ideas, but I think in terms of pacing and action, they do anything differently with the way it looks. You got to be looking at a completely different gameplay.
Yeah. There's also
dynamic as well.
Sequence was pretty different, I think, for the formula. It was kind of like the point-blank style, one after the other, different types of games. So they could go a little more linear out where you're playing through different levels. I mean, Galaxies. You reviewed Galaxies.
Yeah, Galaxies.
As well. I liked it outside of the unplayable controls.
I think with the
as long as you played it with the classic controller,
it still wasn't the same though.
Yeah.
It had those stupid little notches in the classic controller. Like
it was actually better on the DS.
Well, either way, now it's a 360 one. I think because you needed like precision. So if they go some way with that, like Galaxies, where they open it up and playing different planets, and I mean that had a lot more variance. You were playing.
Well, there you had the sort of the Pac-Man kind of mode that was much more prominent in that one, where you were collecting geoms, kind of
right. And those like the RPG part, because you're collecting them to level up your little helper drone.
Yeah,
so I'd like to see more of that.
I mean, this isn't really surprising to me that they have. It might be surprising if they do 10 more games, but not surprising they have ideas to film.
I hope they don't
games.
do 10.
I hope so.
Also, have you guys watched that developer diary for Geometry Wars?
No, not yet.
No? It's really funny. You guys should watch it. It's talking about, they're showing like the motion capture studio. This guy with like this like made out of like PVC pipes, his little like triangle moving around, and they show how it translates into the game. It's really good. So next story, How Hardcore Are You? Which is the Mega Man 9 achievements revealed. We got Invincible, clear the game without dying. Clear the game without continuing. Clear the game by defeating the fewest number of enemies possible.
I just like how Mega Man 9 is this total complete package of pain and oldness and hardcore.
Clear the game 5 times in one day, called Gamers Day.
No, I apologize.
5 times in one day?
At E3, I kind of apologized for that game because I was a hater, but then today...
Oh, sorry.
Wait, I'm back. All right. They recently revealed screenshots of 2 bosses, and they both look like vaguely retouched previous Mega Man bosses.
Is it not the female boss that you're so
scared
of?
They didn't show Splash Woman. They showed like Concrete Man and Spin or Blow Man. I don't remember.
Spinderella.
Whatever. But like, yeah, they look kind of like Mega Man bosses that already existed. I don't know.
So what? How do we feel about this? I mean,
I like it. I'm fine with achievements doing different things like this to reward this. I mean, that's a lot of the Mega Man audience wants stuff like that. They want to be hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like that it's very consciously look. If you're into Mega Man 9, right. You're really into Mega Man 9, right? I mean, but okay.
And I'm sure there's some normal ones. Well, let's see. Let me check. There's got to be some normal. Yeah. Well, clear the game in 60 minutes or less. Yeah, no, these are all pretty tough.
But yeah, Mega Man's kind of famous for speedruns. There are famous videos of like Mega Man 1. like in Japan, there's a guy who beat it without ever getting hit, which is almost impossible because there's a point at which there's like a 25% chance that you will get hit no matter what.
Right.
And he had to get lucky, and like if you don't get hit, then you can do it. But you might get hit, and it's near the end of the game, and if you got that point, you're just kind of screwed because you might get hit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, speaking of achievements, Fable 2 achievements are revealed featuring sexy parties. That's a great headline.
Sexy parties.
By our Chris Pigno. There's a swinger, which earns you 5 gamer score for taking part in an orgy responsibly.
Whoa.
That's the key part.
Wait, how do you responsibly take part in an orgy?
You wear protection, you know.
The game has protection in it?
Shane, you wouldn't know anything about responsible.
Sheepskin. Old-fashioned sheepskins.
I guess.
Then there's the Bigamist, which earns you 10 gamer score for getting married to another woman while already having a wife.
Nice.
The Party Animal gets you for getting 15 villagers drunk in under 3 minutes. And Menace to Society creepily earns you 5 gamer score for committing an act of public indecency.
I put this story in here just because I miss Garnet so much.
That does remind me of that. That reminds me of Garnet.
I like this. The Black Knight pays respect to Monty Python by giving you 10 gamer score for shooting the weapons from a hollow man's hands, blowing off his head, and then killing him for good.
Wow.
I dig it.
Fantastic.
That's kind of it.
Is that it for you, Nick?
That's it.
All right, I have a few more. John, your site, whattheyplay.com, had a poll. Parents are more concerned about games than alcohol.
What?
Did you participate in this poll?
I did, yeah.
Tell us about it.
So we have a very responsive audience. So when we do a poll like this, we get well over 1,000 responses to all of them. So we wanted to get an idea of just to gauge just how informed people are about games. So we did a poll. It was 2 polls, and we kind of combined the results to give an idea. We had that one ages ago where it was, what do you find most offensive? And it was like a man and a woman having sex and 2 men kissing and a severed human head and cursing. And in that one, anything sexual was like definitely way more. There was way more concern about that. And then this one was, if your under 17-year-old kids are sleeping over at a friend's house, which of the following 4 things are you most worried about them doing? And it was smoking weed, watching porn, drinking beer, or playing GTA.
So apparently there's some stigma that, like, with those 2 polls combined, that there's a lot of sexual content in games.
Were the results?
So the rank order of the second one was smoking weed was by far the
50%
50% said that they didn't want, but then the remaining 3 were very close. But playing GTA just nipped ahead of
Porn,
which was next, and beer, which was last.
Wow.
Because if you look at this in terms of legality, it would be weed, beer, porn, games.
Right.
But so, I mean, like the first one, I mean, we kind of expected that, and in a lot of ways, it was in there as a control just to make sure that people were being sane.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that, I mean, so we asked Cheryl Olsen to comment. She wrote that Grand Theft Childhood book, and just to get an outside perspective on it, because we kind of had our own interpretation of it, and that is that porn and beer are kind of known things.
Mm-hmm. We have the quote. She says, although these findings seem surprising at first, they hint at fears parents have about video games. To some parents, video games are full of unknowable dangers. While researching for Grand Theft Childhood, parents we spoke with in focus groups often bemoaned the fact that they didn't know how to use game controls and felt unequipped to supervise or limit video game play. Of course, parents don't want their children drinking alcohol, but that's a more familiar risk.
Exactly. And like I mean, you know, from talking to a lot of parents and stuff over the last year, there is that element of, if they see that a game has sexual content or graphic violence or, you know, intense blood and gore, you know, like the really strong ESRB descriptors, because they've never seen it, their assumption is that it's like just terrible. It's like the Mass Effect stuff all over again. That if that the sex in a game because my kids are doing it, well, you know, that's worse than porn.
I mean, it does make sense, because I'd imagine like a certain percentage of the audience of what they play are people who are concerned about their kids playing GTA specifically, and they're coming to what they play, not like whattheydrink.com.
Yeah.
You know, like, so yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, we wanted to see where it would place, just sort of in an overall. So it was. I mean, what the takeaway from it was, people need to be more informed about the content of video games.
Right.
So I mean, like we did it as a research tool, so we could continue to focus on how much we talk about some of these types of things. The responses from some quarters were shocking. So I had everything from a voicemail from Jack Thompson thanking me.
I was wondering about that.
Nice.
I saw that on your status update.
I still have to call him back.
Do it now.
Which surprised me. Let's call Jack Thompson right now. And he was like, thanks for drawing attention to this. Call me back. And it was a very, sort of rational message.
I think he has that special ability to like turn on like.
His voicemail was quite charming,
Yeah.
But then there were a number of bloggers and the more hardcore observers that somehow thought that we were attacking video games. Where in fact what we were doing was just saying, look, the parents still don't get it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not very, it wasn't very scientific. It was our audience, but because it was in the thousands of respondents, you can start pulling. It was a couple of hundred.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, yeah, you're just telling us whatever you want. But it's like 1,600 people voted in this thing, and the fact that GTA nudged out the others tells me that we poll our audience constantly about how many of you are really parents, and every time we do a survey, it's north of 80% say they're parents. So they're coming and they're genuinely expressing themselves on this stuff, and it's like, well, if you're more worried about games than all this other stuff, then the industry as a whole still has a long way to go to make everybody feel more comfortable with this stuff.
Mm-hmm. So that falls on the industry to get more comfortable?
I think it's the industry communicating about what's in games. I think it's parents paying more attention to the information that is available.
But that's easy to say because everyone always says parents need to pay more attention. But how do you actually get them to pay more attention?
Well, I think expecting them to play the games and pay attention is never going to happen.
Right.
But I think there needs to be a lot more, just a lot more information about just kind of what it is that it really expects of you. Because people hear all the sex in GTA. And then when you say, here is a sex scene from GTA, and more than 50% of the people you show that stuff to is like, that's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was.
Or they'll laugh at it.
Right.
Well, and I think that concern actually has some basis, because if you think about it, like, say I have kids and I let my 14-year-olds play GTA, but I don't let them have beer, but it's not weird for me to let my kids play this video game. So, like, if you're a kid who goes over to your friend's house, of course I'm going to play GTA, but you might not drink a beer, because you might still get in trouble if your friend's parents see you drinking the beer.
So I think some of it's contextual as well.
Right.
So I think people tend to vote based on what they think or know will happen. So it's like, if I send my 14-year-old to his friend's house, I know they're not going to drink beer.
But they very well may be.
But they very well be.
Yeah.
And what we do hear a lot is that some families have very strict rules, and the sensitivity comes in. So we do not let you play M-rated games. But when they go over to a friend's house and their parents are both at work, or the parents are divorced, and there's just not as much parental oversight. That the parents, I know you're doing stuff that you're not allowed to do here at your friend's house, and I think there was an element of that came out in it as well. But there were a bunch of bloggers that were like, "You're just like vilifying video games, and you're game haters." And
it's such a quick response, and after I can kind of understand it after like so many years of being attacked by the media types and the Thompson types.
Yeah,
everyone's so hypersensitive to it without even reading it, without even looking at it. Mm-hmm. To go on the defensive, because
I don't think it was very specifically GTA, but GTA sold so highly, and the content of it was so high profile that it does embody, I think, a lot of people's fears about video games. But I don't think it reflects badly on GTA. I think it just reflects badly on overall awareness of games as entertainment. Because I think if you did the same poll about a movie like Hostel or something, you wouldn't have the same. Because I think there's an innate level of knowledge in that, if as a parent there are movies or TV shows that you don't want your kids watching, you know why. I think a lot of people don't really know why they don't want their kid playing GTA, except for this sort of nebulous idea that it's violent and full of sex.
They fear it, but they don't understand it.
Exactly.
They're not going to understand.
But I don't want my kids watching The Sopranos because I don't want them seeing that,
Right.
All right, so moving on. It was a rough week for a couple companies, starting with Midway Austin. The studio has cut 90 of 130 staff members and canceled the game that had not been announced. The game is called Criminal, open world, probably has something to do with the GTA style of games. The Austin facility is set to remain open. The studio currently has 2 teams working on a pair of unnamed projects in prototype phase. What I thought was interesting about that is they have 40 employees left working on 2 games.
Oh, boy.
So they're either going to add more employees at a later date when they get out of prototype phase, or we might not see those games either.
So where is Vegas being developed? Is that in Midway in Chicago?
I think so.
It doesn't say
I
here.
think it is, but it's sad. But I heard they had 2 open world games, Vegas and this other one. I was like, do they really need 2 similar SKUs?
Right. I was surprised. Well, it was just called Criminal.
Criminal. That could have been a prototype name, a code name,
yeah.
but could not have been. Like, there's a lot of generic named games lately.
Snoop Dogg, Fear and Respect turned into.
Maybe. Similarly,
about that.
Radical Entertainment has lost some people, about 100 employees, almost half of its entire staff.
It's rumored to be
following the merger.
It's rumored to be the Scarface 2 team.
Rumored to be the Scarface 2 team. Apparently, Prototype and the Crash Bandicoot game are still safe. Whatever the 2 drop titles for Medical were, they have not been announced.
Didn't we hear a while ago that Prototype had been canned?
That was the nasty rumor, and then the rumor was that it was turning into a Spider-Man game. But now the new thing is it's still being made, but maybe being toned down.
Was it actually a rumor of the Spider-Man thing, or was that just a joke?
It was a real rumor for about a week. But
it would have made a great Venom game.
Oh yeah, maybe that's it.
They're apparently making a Venom movie.
Really?
I think it makes a great Prototype game. It looks. I mean, everything I've seen of it,
I did hear a rumor that they're going to tone down the violence and make it teen rated.
Everybody that came back from that last Vivendi event where they showed it was like, "Oh, wait till you see Prototype. It's awesome."
It is awesome.
So this fallout from the Activision Blizzard merger. Still.
Yeah.
Quote from Human Resources at Radical, Leah Rubin. Activision Blizzard is committed to making the best games possible and has elected at this time to reduce the number of titles that Radical is developing from 4 games to 2. Unfortunate for everyone
unusual to have a
involved.
human resources representative making a statement.
Ending on a good note, after layoffs and after Flagship Studios closed down, the former Flagship Seattle team, which was developing Mythos, have reformed as a new studio named Runic Games.
Are they still making Mythos?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Mythos is still a live project, right?
I think somebody else is actually working on
I thought
Mythos.
it was like a Korean team.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
People that bankrolled Flagship, right? Didn't they take it on?
I think so.
There's some weirdness going on there. They mentioned a promise of announcements of forthcoming projects in the coming days. That's Travis Beltry and Max Schaefer, who are the heads of the new studio. Runic Games intends to continue to use their expertise in the action RPG MMO genre to create the best games in this market, said a press release.
I believe if you keep your eyes on oneup.com in the coming days, there'll be more information.
I would say check one up on Monday, and this whole story involving this whole affair with all these companies involved will be some light, I believe, will be shed upon it. And that's it. We have one housekeeping announcement. We have the final details for our live One Up Your show at PAX.
Yay.
And it's coming up. It's like, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, if anyone has a hotel room I could stay in, because I made the mistake of not booking until recently, and there are none.
Maybe I'll ask around. One Up Yours Live is on Friday, August 29th in the Walrus Theater from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The capacity, I think, is around 400 people.
Holy shit.
I can't tell if that's
we're expecting
big or
between
small.
40 and 50.
Are we? Okay.
I believe, yeah.
40 and 50 people get there soon. We only have like 30 folding chairs. Everyone else has to stand. We haven't really decided what we're doing for the show yet.
We didn't last time either.
We didn't? No, I wasn't there for the last one. Yeah.
Last time we showed up, we're in a state of perpetual shock that there were so many people waiting for us.
Yeah.
And then didn't know what to say.
we ended up taking a lot of questions from the crowd.
We had a line. We had an orderly line.
A Q&A line?
Yeah.
We might have to do that again this year.
Well, we started off, we did kind of what have you played at PAX. We did what you've been playing at PAX, and then it sort of...
Because was it on Friday or Saturday last year?
It was on
Saturday night.
Because it's on Friday this year, we might not have time to do what you've been playing at PAX. I don't know if we've had time to play
Maybe we should rehearse
stuff.
like a song and dance number.
Maybe we should. Maybe we get a video involved and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live video effects.
Oh, that'd be great.
I heard there may also be some sort of meet and greet, but that is
to be determined.
TBD meet and greet.
Yeah.
You need to do like a run through your Little Big Planet level, like they did at the presentation.
That's a good idea.
You do a live Shane level demo.
I'm actually writing that down.
No.
Yes.
Because it's
not ready for public consumption.
Your level is just
my
shit falling over and catching fire.
Are you protecting your intellectual property?
Yeah, it's private.
You want to make an announcement of a forthcoming announcement that you're going to sell your level at some point?
Maybe.
That's it. Anyone got anything else?
Coming to next year's PAX Live 1UP FM?
Oh, kids table.
I depended one last time.
You have a lot to prove before you can handle a live show.
Yeah, kids.
Can't even do recorded shows.
We record our shows in like 6 different time segments and backwards.
Spread over a week.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's it for the show. Thanks to Nick Sutner for coming in today.
Hooray, thank you.
Thanks for John, whattheyplay.com.
Garnet will be back next week, right?
Thank God.
The stories of travels abroad. So
And fine foods and drinks. And
I
good
bet he
times.
brings us some scotch.
He better.
I would
Better.
think so.
He better bring something
He's
for
gonna
us.
bring some.
Yeah.
So
Thanks to Shane, and I'm Andrew, and until next week, we are a ghost.